Yo, man. What's good, to Mr. Bowman Kenneth, aka Mr. Netprep, Warman Tech, David Mill. I've never seen a trade fall apart like this in the NBA, man. Like, subscribe, share, man. Let's get into it. Come on, man.
Have you ever seen a player attack someone because of what his teammate said?
Boy, now we've got Nurkic and Najee Marshall as Marshall leaned back and threw a punch at Nurkic.
Ridiculous? Yes.
Now, right here, I believe the players are doing this, you know what I'm saying, because the NBA, saying the ratings were down, so they're trying to figure out a way to get the ratings back up. You know what I'm saying? It's clever.
But this is what happens when you play for a team whose frustration levels are at an all-time high. As of right now, the Phoenix Suns are paying over $400 million when we account for luxury tax for a roster that is currently not in the play-in game. The Suns also do not own their own first-round pick outright until 2031, so to call the Bradley Beal trade a disaster would be an understatement. In this video, we are also going to look at 3 other major recent trades and signings. Paul George to Philly, DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans, and of course, Julius Randle to the Timberwolves. But staying in Phoenix, what's up, Mike here? And in trading for Bradley Beal, the Suns made a desperation move when
that trade out there is stupid for real. I'm not gonna lie. That trade that the Suns did is stupid and was stupid. Why? Because they literally gave away all their picks. Kevin Durant don't really care, because if Kevin Durant gets traded, he don't care, bro. He tried to do the same thing with the Nets. Didn't work. They traded him. He tried to do the same thing with the Suns. I don't know if they're gonna trade all of them. If they want their picks back, might as well. The Wizards got a first round pick. They had a first round pick, second round pick, first round pick in 26. Look at this, bro. Like,
a desperation move did not have to happen. This move also made absolutely no sense at the time. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are both score first players, simple as that. Bradley Beal is a score first guard, simple as that. Book is doing his best, averaging a team high 6.5 assists per game, but just as recently as 2022, the Suns had a winning formula down. Devin Booker finished 4th in the MVP voting, and the Suns won 64 games before Luka Doncic and the Mavs took them out of the playoffs. This led to an overreaction. And when we come to the root of the Suns' problems, it comes down to simple roster construction. In the Durant trade, the Suns lost Mickal Bridges, who was a star defensive wing for them, who played his role well. The Suns didn't want to pay DeAndre Ayton.
Bro, all he had to do was trade away DeAndre Ayton. They had Cam Johnson, Mickal Bridges. All they needed was a point guard and a center. That's all they needed. The team they had before the Kevin Durant was already better. It is Chris Paul was a little bit older. All they had to do was get a point guard and probably trade for another center. That's all they had to do. But they traded for Kevin Durant, and they kind of messed him up. Do you have Mickal Bridges and Cam Johnson? That right there was already a good team for you. And you had Devin Booker. All they needed was a point guard and a center. And they messed that up. And that's on them. So it is what it is.
Okay, but the replacement for him, Jusuf Nurkic, currently has both a negative box score plus minus and a negative value over replacement player. KD has shown clear frustrations with Nurkic specifically. But wrapping back to the Bradley Beal trade, Beal was on the decline heading to Phoenix. In 2022 and 2023, Beal averaged around 23 points a game, and now at the age of 31 for the Suns, he is scoring just 18.2 points per game with 3.1 assists and 3.7 rebounds with a negative box score plus minus, a PER under 15, and a VORP of 0.1. The worst part is the Suns gave away a lot of their future in this trade. So yes, while they do technically still have first round picks, they do not outright own their own pick until 2031, which means if things get awful, they are not going to be able to rebuild with their own players. Have I mentioned Bradley Beal has a player option for $57 million in 2027? We saw what happened when the Brooklyn Nets went all in on an older Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and traded away their entire their future in the process. They watched as Boston took Jaylen Brown, who was last year's NBA Finals MVP. It's very possible Phoenix is on that same path. As for Paul George to the 76ers, this could be just as awful long-term for Philadelphia. Now, at least Philly does own all of their picks outright starting in 2028. That is the good news. The bad news is Paul George is 34 years old and has a player option for over $56.5 million in 2028. Philly started the season 3-14. Things were so bad that they had a players-only meeting, and in this meeting,
Tyrese Maxey challenged Joel Embiid, the face of that franchise, the former league MVP, about his tardiness and about being on time.
Many fans blame Tobias Harris as the reason for Philly's failures. Paul George was supposed to
They literally blame Tobias. Tobias wasn't the reason. Tobias wasn't the reason. You got Jarrell really hurt. Now, I don't even feel like the Harden and Tobias and Embiid was a perfect fit, but you know, Harden requested another trade, and that was that.
level them up on the wing and take this team to new heights. That has not come close to happening so far.
How you got more podcast episodes than games played? Your podcast, P. You're not playoff P. You're not the GOAT.
Yes, Philly has suffered through injury problems, but they are now in very dangerous territory. They are 13-19 in the Eastern Conference, and Paul George's production has fallen off of a cliff. Just last season with the Clippers, PG was an all-star and averaged 22.6 points per game on 47.1% shooting. This season, he's averaging 16.3 points per game with similar minutes played on 42.2% shooting. Now, to be fair, things have been getting better. Philly again started the year at 3-14, but have been 10-5 through their last 15 games. They still have plenty of time to make up ground and make the playoffs, but we have to be honest here. Making the playoffs is not the goal. The goal is to win a championship with this core, and we have watched the Cavaliers absolutely dominate to begin the year, and the Boston Celtics are still.
The only one thing about that casting I would say is when players come around, are the role players going to play the same as they did in the regular season? Are the role players going to play the same as they did in the that's the one thing. Because remember what Jared Allen, he said the lights were too bright and he was trash. That's what I mean. Are the role players going to show up for them? Is Darius Garland going to show? I already know Donovan Mitchell's going to show up, but is Darius Garland going to show up? Is Max Strus going to show up? Is Dean Wade going to show up? Is Jared Allen going to show up? Is Evan Mobley? That's the one thing about the cast team is, yeah, they always do good in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, they shiver up and they're just trash in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying?
Sitting there as defending reigning NBA champion. With Paul George's current production and the fact that he's making over $50 million a year, he is an untradeable asset at this point, and injuries are only adding up for Joel Embiid. When Embiid is on the court, he does have the talent of an MVP, but just last season, he only played in 39 games, and this season, he's only played in 12. The two bright spots for Philly have been Tyrese Maxey, who just turned 24, and Jared McCain, who went from TikTok dancing sensation to Rookie of the Year favorite, but then, unfortunately, suffered a torn meniscus. So really, Philly is completely relying on their big three here to win them a championship in the near future, as Embiid still has a player option for $67 million in 2029. Their salary cap allows for basically no flexibility, and right now, their current team does not look like it's going to be enough, and that a new process might be starting soon. DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans is the most complicated trade on this list. At his best, DeJounte has all-star potential, as in 2022, he was a literal all-star for the Spurs, averaging 21.1 points, 9.2 assists, 8.3 rebounds, and 2 steals per game. Stuff in the stat sheet. Then DeJounte went to the Hawks, where he was not a fit at all with Trae Young, and after that did not work out, he is now on the Pelicans, where again, we have a very imperfect fit, as DeJounte is often the only true playmaker on the court. And while he is a great player, I would not say he is an elite playmaker. The true superstars in the NBA can fit anywhere. DeJounte, though, seems to be more of a possibly great third option on the right team with the right roster around him.
The Lakers, I'm trying to tell you, DeJounte Murray on the Lakers will be so nice next to Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James. I promise you, the perfect fit for DeJounte Murray is I promise you, it's the Lakers. I promise you, it's the Lakers. Because AD is the first option, Bron's the second option. And he'll probably be the fourth option because Austin Reeves is the third option.
Problem is,
So,
he has not gotten that chance recently at all. When we look at him fairly here, a huge thing that stands out is that last season, DeJounte averaged 22.5 points per game, and now he is averaging 15.8 points per game on 36.6% shooting with similar minutes played. There is a lot to still like about his game though, as at the point guard spot, he's also averaging 7.5 assists and 6.5 rebounds per game to go along with 2.4 steals. However, the Pelicans are about as awful as you could possibly be, sitting at 5-29, and in order to get DeJounte, they had to give up Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels on the Hawks has quickly become one of the NBA's most underrated young.
now Dyson Daniels, listen, he's a good defender. He's actually a pretty good defender.
In the 2025 season so far, Dyson is averaging 12.9 points, 5.1 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and wait for it, 3.1 steals per game. The last player to average over 3 steals per game for an entire season was Alvin Robertson in 1991. And the Atlanta Hawks as a whole have easily been one of the biggest surprise teams in the NBA this season. They are sitting at 18-16 with a starting lineup of 30-year-old Clint Capella, 26-year-old Trae Young, then 23-year-old Jalen Johnson, 21-year-old Dyson, and 19-year-old Zachary Rizache. So while DeJounte Murray is a solid player and is on a great contract, making a little over $30 million a year until 2028, the Hawks got younger here and are better, while the Pelicans are older, worse, and completely missing an identity. Finishing off, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
This trade right here, the Julius Randle trade was the worst trade I've ever seen. You traded away Cat for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. How come you didn't trade away Rudy Gobert? The problem with the Timberwolves is they didn't need Rudy Gobert. Bro, they didn't need Rudy Gobert. They didn't need Rudy Gobert. That's the thing. They didn't need him, bro. Because every time the playoffs comes around, bro, Rudy Gobert, he can't play in the playoffs because the nigga is trash.
Wolves took a massive gamble when they traded away Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, along with a first-round pick. Normally, when a team makes the Western Conference with a roster that is still in contention and a superstar in Anthony Edwards who is only getting closer to his prime, they do not make drastic moves such as this. Last year, Cat was an all-star for Minnesota. He has been their franchise cornerstone for years. This season, he may be an all-star starter for the Knicks in the Eastern Conference as he's averaging 24.9 points, 13.7 rebounds, and 3.3 assists per game. Cat is having perhaps the best season of his life in New York, and the Knicks are
Also, I think the Knicks, I also think, plus, Karl Anthony Towns is from Jersey, so, I mean, he's pretty much close to home, you know what I'm saying?
4-10 and third in the East. Meanwhile, Timberwolves fans have been introduced to what can only be called the Julius Randle experience.
Schroeder didn't want that three. Give it to the hottest warrior. Curry's got another one.
With their offense stand, can they get Randle going as Bridges inside?
3 buckets so far. Vucevic, trailer 3.
For the year, Randle is averaging 20.2 points, 7 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game. But
the only time Randle goes off is when he plays the Lakers. I promise you. Only time this bum-ass nigga goes off is when he's playing the Lakers. I promise you.
He's 30 years old, and his numbers across the board have dropped from last season. If you ask a Knicks fan about this, they would laugh and say, "What did you expect?"
Now Randle driving by Alvarado, and then he throws it away.
And he hears it from the crowd.
Now, during a 4-game win streak this season, Anthony Edwards did hype up Randle by saying,
Nas and Julius is playing defense. You know, I've never seen him play defense before. So that's incredible. And he's right here. Put the camera on him. He's just guarding his ass off.
And almost immediately after this, the Wolves would drop 3 straight games in Julius Randle's only 2 playoff runs. In 2021, he averaged 18 points per game on 29.8% shooting. In 2023, 16.6 points a game on 37.4% shooting. You will hear that the Timberwolves had to give up Karl Anthony Towns for salary reasons. In reality, they were avoiding the second apron, they could have kept him or they could have traded away other salaries to avoid that apron. Now, injuries did play a part in some of Julius Randle's playoff struggles. On top of this, Dante DiVincenzo has also not been the player Wolves fans expected. Dante is averaging just 10 points per game and is shooting 38.9% from the field, as his PER, true shooting percentage, win shares per 48 minutes, and box score plus minus are all noticeably down from last season. The instant reaction here is huge win for the Knicks, not great for the Wolves, but in the NBA this early, we know things can change. There's always time for redemption. So comment down below what
I don't know. I don't really see that happening, but y'all let me know what y'all think down below, man. I'll see you until the next one, man. We out.